Everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to continue working on our CompAir mobile compressor. Today we're going to start working on the mobile part of the mobile air compressor. So it's basically the stuff on the chassis. I see here, like this thing I guess used to have a pintle hitch on it and somebody's changed it to a coupler. Well, I'm not quite sure how this is even held on there. There's a couple of bits of weld here, and I kind of think these bolts that the safety chains are on go all the way down through. We're going to start here and work our way back. First up, I took these bolts out that had the safety chains on them because, number one, attaching the safety chains to the top of the trailer is kind of counterproductive, because you need them to hold it up if something fails. So at first I thought of just running them the other way down through this hole, but then I said, nah, you know what? I think I'll find a better way for the safety chains. So right now we just took them off and we're going to put these bolts back in with washers and nuts and get them tightened up. Now here's a way I found to kill two birds with one stone. The coupler up at the front here is actually tight against the original frame of the trailer. So I'm going to drill right through here and put a bolt on each side. Back here though, I was kind of faced with having to either slice this thing back to here, push it in, re-weld it all, stitch it all together and put another bolt back here. Or I found a way to kill two birds with one stone. This is where, look at that. We're going to put our safety chain. We can put that there, weld all the way around it. That'll attach the back of the coupler firmly to the frame, and then we'll just drill a hole at the front there just for peace of mind. I think this kind of is really what's holding it on. But we'll put a bolt through the front here just to keep this from ever wanting to go like that. Probably overkill, but you know, better safe than sorry. You can see here where the original front of the trailer was, where they cut it off. They cut that. Originally, that's where the pintle would have been mounted. But, or the pintle hook, I guess. And the pintle itself would have been on the back of the tow rig. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it good. That worked out pretty well. All we really needed here was just a 3/8 bolt on each side, just to kind of stabilize that. That's fine. This is all good. Once we get everything all painted and put back together, I've got a couple of nice snap hooks we can put on there for the safety chains. And we'll be all set. Now we're going to start moving our way back. What I'm going to do now is take all the fittings out of this air tank. We'll get them cleaned up and ready to go back in once the thing is all done. This is the big one with the twist lock for your jackhammer or whatever big old thing you feel like running, a big sandblaster. We'll get this all sorted out. And these are smaller ones that just have these little kind of quick connects on them, but they're all seized and wrecked, so we'll put new ones on. All good. Here's a little surprise here. We've got kind of a healthy crack in the frame. Looks like it goes down around to there. It's right where they cut it and bent it in and welded it up, where they put this bend in the A-frame. And I guess over time the weld is cracked. So we're going to clean this up. We'll find the end of the crack, put a weld in it, or pardon me, drill a hole in it to stop it from spreading, and then we'll V it out with the grinder, and we'll lay a nice bead of weld in there to make it whole again. So here we are. I've got the crack. It went here and then it was going along there too. So we got it all gouged out. We'll fill that up with weld. And here at the end of the crack, I drilled a hole. I don't know if you really have to drill a hole at the end of the crack when you're welding it, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, I drilled a hole in it, right or wrong. There's that all fixed up. I checked down underneath. The bottom of it's fine, and I checked the same spot on the other side. No trouble there. It was just confined to this side. maybe it's got something to do with this. You can see here somewhere along the line, she's taken a bit of damage there. Looks like it got jackknifed, but who knows? Doesn't matter. All fixed now. Next thing we have to deal with, you can see here, we've got a broken bolt. That is what attaches the front bulkhead of the body of the thing to the frame. So we got to see if we can get that out. Well, hopefully that works. I welded a nut to it. Yeah, there we go. You think it's coming out or you think it broke? I think it's coming out. Oh yeah, good. I got one blob of bloody slag on the side of it there that's going to keep me from getting the wrench on it easily. But anyway, I'll see when I got it out. Oh, that makes me so happy when stuff like that comes out. Well, we finally got a nice day and it's been out for its power wash. It's looking a little more snazzy now. At least I can work on it without getting filthy. So now what we're going to do is go ahead. I'm going to pull each side. I'm going to pull the wheel off. And we're going to have it go at the bearings. Make sure they're adjusted right and packed up nicely with grease. And I don't know, if I happen to have a spare pair of bearing buddies kicking around, I might put them on so we could shoot some grease in them once in a while. And this bearing on this side is wasted. Oh boy. So we'll get this apart and see if we can get a bearing kit for it, or I might even have some kicking around. Alrighty. Let's see, where's the end of this thing? I got the cotter pin out and found that they had this nut like tightened like all the way. They never backed it off. I mean, you could still hear it a little bit, but we're going to take it apart anyway and see what it looks like in there. Well, thankfully the spindle looks okay. It's not all galled up, so the bearing hasn't been turning. That's some good news. So we'll get over to the bench and get the bearings out of the hub and see what the heck they look like. You can see there the bearings are pitted pretty badly. So I've gone ahead. I've ordered two bearing kits for this. So we'll just do all the wheel bearings at one shot, and then we won't have to worry about them anymore. They're coming tomorrow. So that gives us time now. Well, at least I'll get it up on stands and take both of them apart and get everything cleaned up. While I wait for my parts to show up, I went ahead and smeared a coat of yellow paint on the front of it here. All of this stuff that's under the sheet metal, I'm not going to bother painting it. It's fine how it is. You can see here, it was originally more of a caterpillar yellow. And we're doing it trim-clad yellow because that's what they have at Canadian Tire. So we'll let this first coat dry up and then put the second coat on it, and it should look a lot better then. It's looking pretty good now. Can't wait to see the whole thing with that nice shiny bright yellow paint on it. It'll look good. Our bearing kit showed up. So you can see it all comes in one box. It's a whole kit and caboodle. The only thing, these here, they're too big, but we'll just reuse our original nut. There's nothing wrong with them. But the bearings and the seals are all the correct ones. And we get these things that I thought originally had a grease fitting under there like a bearing buddy, but no. It's just open like that. But that's okay. You could peel this out, shoot some grease in there, and pop this back in if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. I think I've got somewhere a pair of actual proper bearing buddies I might put in it. And you keep these for something else. Here's an exciting day for us at the Claremont Classic Garage. We have finally had to go and get a new tub of grease. I love my grease. And you can see even grease is subject to shrinkflation. Notice the size of the tub and notice how much grease is in it. The last time I bought one of these, it was full right up to the top. It's getting bad out there, folks. So anyway, what we're up against here, I'm just getting ready to use some of this grease here to pack this hub full of grease. We've used today our handy dandy wheel bearing packer. You just put your wheel bearing in there, tighten the other cone down, and you pump it up with a grease gun, and that packs your bearing for you. Unlike, you can still do it the old way, where you put grease in the palm of your hand and go like, today I decided to do it this way. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Now we got to put the races into the hub. So to get them started, put it in. We've got one of the old races we're going to use to get it started. We'll take it down as far as we can with that. And then I just got this great big old socket here. Will it fit down there? Yeah, okay. All the way in? Seems like it. You hear the tone of it change when it bottoms out. So that's the inner race in. Now we'll install the outer race. Same thing. We'll just get it started down in there. We got a different socket to use this time. Hear it? Bottomed out. Okay, now we're gonna, oh yeah, pack it with grease. There we go. Good. And now we can pack our bearings. We're using this bearing packer here. Just a lot easier to do it. Well, easier, harder, whatever. It's another way to do it than the old grease in the palm of your hand trick. So you get your bearing in there. Tighten that down. And we just get the old grease gun here. You'll hear it. It'll go when it's full. Oh, look at that. Finally, I'm running out of grease in this grease gun. I hate this thing. I don't like the lever action ones because they're hard to operate with one hand, right? The pistol grip ones are better. But the price of grease these days, I get these things at the auction all the time for cheap because they usually got a full tube of grease in them. So I use up the grease that's in them and then put them in a pile and send them all back to the auction. Now we could drop our wheel bearing in. And we've got our seal here. And I've just started. We got to get the back lip of it packed with grease so that the little spring, the little tension spring doesn't fall out when we whack it in. Or you could, be a civilized mechanic and do it in a hydraulic press also. But we're going to go old school here. Whoop. There we go. And once we get it started, you just get a socket or whatever you got. And drive her home. That's it. That's the inner bearing. So we made sure our outer bearing has got some grease on the race, and we're going to drop that in there. Now we can go stick it on the spindle. There we go. The outer one's a little snug, but it's going. There we go. Good. Now we got to put the washer on. You can see here, that's the original washer, and something has gone horribly wrong with that. It's like welded itself to the bearing somehow. That's not good. So I'm going to see if I can find something kicking around here that we can use for that. And I'll be back in a sec. I found a washer that fits right in my junk. And you kind of, before you start winging this nut on, make a note of where the cotter pin hole is. On this one, it's on the top. On the other one, I think it's kind of sideways. I may be wrong, but so we're gonna get that down there, and then just turn this. That seats the bearings in. There we go, and then you just turn it back a bit. So it feels good. I'm going to see how, go back one more notch. Now that might be a little too much. No, right there. That's good. That's perfect. Now I could drop our cotter pin through. And that's it. We're all set. I'll just snip off that piece that's sticking out, and we'll stick a grease cap on it, and that's this side done. So for now, we're just going to use the dust caps that came with it. You don't have to put any grease in here, but you can put a little bit if you want. We'll put just a dollop in there. And I'll get an old piece of exhaust pipe here. That's the nicest thing to knock them in with, so you don't make a mess at the end of them. There we go. There. That's that hub done. Now we'll do the other one, and I'll see you in a minute. Got this side done now. Once I've towed it around a little bit, I'll double check them because they may kind of like seat in and loosen up a little bit, and we may tighten the nuts up one notch. But for now, they're fine. Now what I have to do is see if I've got some trailer wheel bolts, because it had like 2 on each side out of the 5. So I gotta scrounge around in my junk here and see if I can find a set of them. There we go. What I have to do though is get some tires, because these ones, you can see there, look at the cracks in them, and they're not even trailer tires, they're car tires. So we'll pick up a pair of 13-inch trailer tires for it, and a new set of wheel bolts, because these are all mismatched, and that's gonna drive me crazy, especially if I got new tires and wheels. I've also gone ahead and put the tongue jack back on it, and I put a couple of snap hooks on the safety chains. You know how I'm always telling you when we do our scrapyard videos to always look inside the big 3/4 and 1-ton white work vans. Inside one of them, I found this smashed but full can of yellow Tremclad, and well, they didn't charge me for it at the junkyard. They said, "You want a can of paint? Take the can of paint." And I've gotten the sides of the trailer painted. I got all the exposed part of the front of it painted, and the 2 ends. And I still have some left. I did buy another one to finish the job, but at least I only had to buy one. We're working away getting our panels painted. Here you can see it's coming together nice. We've started putting the body back together. I went ahead and I made a little bumper for the back of it. That covers up that spot that was rotted out, which is nice. And I put a couple of tail lights on it. I still have to run the wiring up to the front. And I put on our new wheels. We got new wheels and tires. I would have gladly just bought a pair of tires, but you could buy tires with wheels for less than you could buy tires. And they're all made in the same place. Don't ask me. What we're doing right now is repairing the fuel tank. This corner of the bracket was busted off. We have it, so I just, the captive nut on there's a weld nut welded to the back of it. It was also all screwed up, so I just ground that off. I'm waiting for it to cool off. We're going to weld a new nut to the back of it and then weld the piece back in here. Look at that. And they even work. And there's the stoplights. So there you have it. That is all the trailer part of the job done. It's all back in one piece. I'll put the doors on after, when I'm all done everything else. That'll be the very last. The very last thing. We'll cover that in the last video. That'll wrap up that one. The trailer part of the mobile air compressor is all done. Very happy with how it turned out. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for tuning into our channel. I hope you will make it a point to come back and see us again soon. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.